Yeah.
All right, so you're wondering exactly how do you make money with pre-sale lots? What's really the fundamental metrics, KPIs that we're looking for, right? It's very different to the model, for example, in the US. In the US, there's a 1% rule, right? Cash on cash returns and that sort of thing. But you have to keep in mind one thing here. We're investing in pre-sale, right? Which means that we're putting all the money up front. And by the time it gets delivered, that's how we're going to ensure our profits, specifically when it comes to pre-sale lots. We're actually primarily functioning off of capital gains, right? So now, when it comes to capital gains, there's a few things that we want to know, and it's more so appreciation, right? So why does this opportunity exist in Mexico? Because you have super high appreciation rates in comparison to the US, right? And so what happens is that there's something called governed appreciation. Let's talk about governed appreciation first, right? Well, first of all, there's two types of appreciation. Let's say you have a house, right? And year after year, whether it's a house, whatever it may be, it's going to go appreciate, right? Maybe 5%. In this case, you have about a 20% increase in the specific region that we're at. Here in the Yucatan Peninsula, whether it's Merida, Tulum, Playa del Carmen, whatever, we have a pretty good appreciation rate of 20%, right? This is what I would call natural appreciation, of course, because this simply means that if you have a house or you have a plot of land, it just means that it's going to be appreciating at a 20% rate. Now, here's what developers do, right? Developers have something before they actually get to turn in physically, whether it's the house, whether it's usually in cases of land, they have something called governed appreciation. What is governed appreciation? It's the developer actively controlling the appreciation by the time, and this really depends on keeping in mind, of course, that we're, like, let's say this is 2023, and this is 2027, 2028. So what we have to keep in mind is that here may be the day where they actually deliver the plot of land, and then right now we're just investing over a concept, essentially, right? And so what happens is the projected price of the square meter in this area in 2023 perhaps was worth this much, and it naturally goes appreciating. But this doesn't actually take into consideration what the developer is actually charging for the square meter. This is what is called governed appreciation. See, whenever we're investing in land or in plans, we have an advantage to where the developer is going to offer much below the actual market value of what that plot of land is actually worth. And as they go selling, as they're like, okay, look, we almost have enough funds to, they go collecting funds, of course, they go selling everything so that they can fund the project, so they can build the amenities, they can build the roads, they can get the permissions, all this stuff that's goes behind building development. What they're going to do is they're slowly going to start upticking the price with the finality of selling it, obviously getting sold before the delivery date. They want to get it as close as they can to market value. Obviously, you can't do that with plans, but slowly, as they start selling and as they start seeing how much demand there is for their actual product, they're going to go raising it. It's never defined how much they're going to raise this, right? But it's a governed appreciation. So, like, let's say the first year they sold 50%, boom, they're automatically the next year they're probably going to get much closer to the market value this year, right? And we can ignore this completely. If you were to buy a pre-sale lot today, for example, and let's say you bought it here, right? You bought it at this level. This is the current price of the land. This doesn't take into consideration the market value. There's still a margin for the market value right here, and this is what we're going to profit off of, right? This margin right here. This is the market value versus what you're actually paying in pre-sale, because we're still investing over plans. The closer we get, like I said, the more it's going to be worth, especially once they get certain things in order, like titles. Once they start delivering titles, which is usually what's considered the delivery date for the developer, not to be mistaken with the delivery of the amenities or the project in general. Sometimes they may deliver the title for your individual lot before the actual delivery of the amenities. It's usually not too far distant, but just make sure you always verify that. So by the time they deliver, whether it's here or there, the good thing, let's say they deliver in 2027, now they deliver the property title, and let's say you paid, or like let's say you paid back here, right? Let's say you paid in 2024, you bought. You locked in these prices, this is what you paid,
and then considering the margin that we had of natural appreciation over the margin of what the development is actually worth in market value, we're gonna lock in this profit right here. And it's verifiable because as soon as we have the actual property title, it now becomes a legitimate lot. Now it has its own escritura, and now the developer can actually sell this land for this price right here. So that's a huge advantage that we have. It's called government appreciation. Government appreciation allows us to take advantage of the fact that developers are still selling plans and they cannot charge the full market price until they actually have everything in order. And as soon as they have everything in order, then they can just sell the lot, not being pre-sale. They don't even have to offer financing anymore. They know the numbers are there, the metrics are there because they did their market research, and they already sold them pre-sale at a pretty good price. They know eventually those lots are going to sell for their actual market value, right? You can even check this out with an evaluador, whatever. But essentially, this is how we profit in real estate in using pre-sale. These numbers are pretty accurate because, like I said, we do have a 20% appreciation rate average in certain parts of Mexico, specifically in this area. And that's how you take advantage and you make a killer amount of money with capital gains using pre-sale lots. All right, be careful, just make sure it's urbanized pre-sale lots. Things are going to vary, of course. We're going to talk about that in another video. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about the difference between investment lots, semi-urbanized, urbanized, and what I recommend for you guys. So stay tuned.